You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Don't struggle to align your organization's cybersecurity with business risk. Get the only solution that goes beyond reacting to threats with vulnerability and risk monitoring. You need the next evolution of MDR, and only Critical Start delivers it. Critical Start doesn't just monitor and respond to threats. They put you in control by detecting suspicious activities, quickly responding to contain threats, and identifying your most critical assets and protecting them against vulnerabilities and exposures. With continuous visibility, expert guidance, and measurable risk reduction, Critical Start has redefined what it means to manage cyber risk. Demonstrate provable security maturity to your leadership while positioning your program to achieve the greatest risk reduction per dollar spent. Stop fearing risk and start managing it with Critical Start. Visit criticalstart.com and request a demo today. That's criticalstart.com. Some say Microsoft's recall should be. A breach of a Texas healthcare provider affects over 400,000. Police in the Philippines shut down services following a breach. Ivanti patches multiple products. GitHub fixes a critical authentication bypass vulnerability. Researchers discover critical vulnerabilities in Honeywell's ControlEdge unit operations controller. The DoD releases their Cybersecurity Reciprocity Playbook. Hackers leak a database with millions of Americans' criminal records. Mastercard speeds fraud detection with AI. In our Learning Layers segment, hosts Sam Meisenberg and Joe Carrigan continue their discussion of Joe's CISSP certification journey, diving into Domain 5, Identity and Access Management, and remembering a computing visionary. It's Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your Cyberwire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us once again here today. It is great to have you with us. The UK's Information Commissioner's Office is questioning Microsoft about its new feature, Recall, which takes frequent screenshots on new Copilot Plus PCs. Privacy advocates are concerned about potential risks, calling it a privacy nightmare. Microsoft states that Recall is optional, keeps data local, and is designed with privacy in mind. Users can control what Recall captures, and private browsing on Edge is excluded. However, the ICO emphasizes the need for rigorous risk management assessments before product releases. Recall allows users to search past activity, including files and browsing history, by capturing screenshots every few seconds. Critics warn this could deter people from accessing sensitive information. Legal experts express concerns over privacy and consent, especially regarding confidential and proprietary information. Additionally, Mozilla's privacy team highlighted that stored screenshots could expose sensitive data like passwords and financial information if a hacker gains physical access to the device. This raises further security concerns given the history of InfoStealer malware targeting local data. Overall, while Microsoft assures users of built-in privacy protections, critics argue that Recall could significantly undermine security and privacy, urging consumers to disable the feature unless significant changes are made. My favorite online comment I've seen so far suggested that maybe, through the deployment of Recall, perhaps Microsoft will make it the year of Linux on the desktop. On Monday, Centromed, a supplier of healthcare services in Texas, reported a data breach to the Texas Attorney General after discovering unauthorized access to sensitive patient information. This breach included names, addresses, dates of birth, social security numbers, financial account details, medical records, health insurance info, and treatment information. The breach, detected on April 30th of this year, impacted approximately 400,000 individuals. CentroMed has notified affected patients, advising them to be vigilant against fraud and identity theft. This incident is separate from a prior breach on June 12, 2023, which affected 350,000 Texans. The Philippine National Police, the PNP, has indefinitely suspended all online services following an alleged breach of its online systems, including the Firearms and Explosives Office and the Logistics Data Information and Management System. PNP spokesperson Colonel Jean Fajardo announced the suspension as a precaution to enhance security and integrity. Frontline services remain available at regional offices. The PNP is coordinating with the Department of Information and Communications Technology to investigate and prevent further data exposure. The hacker Fins has been identified as the perpetrator, with potential links to breaches in other government agencies. Ivanti released patches for multiple products addressing critical vulnerabilities in Endpoint Manager. 6 SQL injection flaws in EPM with a CVSS score of 9.6 were fixed. These bugs could allow unauthenticated attackers to execute arbitrary code. Ivanti also patched an unrestricted file upload vulnerability in Avalanche and several other high-severity flaws. No evidence suggests these vulnerabilities have been exploited. Ivanti reaffirmed its commitment to enhancing security and vulnerability management practices. GitHub fixed a critical authentication bypass vulnerability in GitHub Enterprise Server, affecting instances using SAML single sign-on with encrypted assertions. Exploiting this flaw could allow attackers to spoof SAML responses, gaining administrator rights and full access without authentication. The vulnerability was reported through GitHub's bug bounty program. Users are advised to update promptly to secure their systems. Cybersecurity firm Clarity discovered critical vulnerabilities in Honeywell's ControlEdge Unit Operations Controller, including one which allows arbitrary code execution via an undocumented function. Another flaw involves path traversal, enabling file reading. These vulnerabilities could let attackers gain full control of controllers. Clarity reported these issues, leading Honeywell to release patches and advisories. Additionally, CISSP published an advisory covering 16 vulnerabilities in Honeywell's systems, primarily discovered by Armis, which could expose sensitive information or allow privilege escalation. The U.S. Department of Defense Chief Information Officer announced the release of the DoD Cybersecurity Reciprocity Playbook, providing guidance on implementing cybersecurity reciprocity within DoD systems. The playbook outlines benefits, risks, and example use cases, emphasizing the reuse of security authorization packages to save time and resources. It highlights the importance of cooperation and trust among authorizing officials for efficient system authorization. The playbook aims to enhance cybersecurity posture by promoting interagency collaboration and standardizing security practices. A cyber criminal known as Equation Corps and US DoD has leaked a database they claim contains the criminal records of millions of Americans, with 70 million rows of data from 2020 to 2024. The data includes full names, birth dates, aliases, addresses, arrest and conviction dates, and sentences. The source of the data is so far unknown. Observers wonder if US DoD, linked to the original breach forums and involved in a TransUnion breach, may use this leak to attract users for a new data leak site. Mastercard says they're deploying generative AI to enhance their fraud detection capabilities, doubling the speed at which they identify compromised cards. This technology scans transaction data across billions of cards and millions of merchants, better predicting card details and alerting Mastercard to new fraud patterns. It reduces false positives by up to 200% and increases the speed of identifying at-risk merchants by 300%. The AI solution targets the growing issue of stolen card numbers being sold online. Coming up after the break, Sam Meisenberg and Joe Carrigan continue their discussion of Joe's CISSP certification journey. Stay with us. In the dynamic world of enterprise security, identity architects and IT leaders face a major challenge. Growth by repeated acquisitions multiplies the complexity of everything. Multiple IDPs, MFA providers, policy engines that all need to coexist. This can lead to fragmented user identities and policies that create security vulnerabilities and add access friction. Strata Identity solves this. Now you can decommission unneeded IDPs and consolidate the ones you'd like to keep without rewriting apps or disrupting users, engineers, and app owners. Plus, Strata's modular architecture makes it easy to integrate with any identity provider without manual maintenance and coding. Join the ranks of cybersecurity leaders using identity orchestration. Visit strata.io/cyberwire, share your top identity security priorities, and receive a pair of complimentary AirPods Pro. Offer valid for organizations with over 5,000 employees. Step into a new era of identity management at strata.io/cyberwire. The IT world used to be simpler. You only had to secure and manage environments that you controlled. Then came new technologies and new ways to work. Now, employees, apps, and networks are everywhere. This means poor visibility, security gaps, and added risk. That's why Cloudflare created the first-ever connectivity cloud. Visit cloudflare.com to protect your business everywhere you do business. On today's Learning Layers segment, host Sam Meisenberg is joined by Joe Carrigan, my co-host on Hacking Humans. They continue their discussion of Joe's CISSP certification journey, diving into Domain 5, Identity and Access Management.
Welcome back to Learning Layer. On this segment, we're going to continue our conversation with Joe Carrigan as he gets ready for his CISSP exam. So, Joe, welcome back. Welcome to Domain 5.
Domain 5.
What did you think? Like we said last time, it's different vibes than the more technical 3 and 4.
It is. It's the authentication chapter, if you will.
Yeah.
The authentication, authorization, the AAA, and the identity. It's all about identity management.
Yep. So I thought it would be a good idea to sort of talk about Domain 5 by just going super deep and doing a question together. So, okay, why don't you start? And we're on a podcast here, so we got to read the question to the audience. But we'll make sure it's on the YouTube page as well. But so why don't you do 2 things? Read me the question, and then maybe like tell me like in real time what's going through your head as you're approaching this question.
Okay. So the question starts off with, you are configuring a biometric hand scanner to secure your data center.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So immediately the first thing goes through my head is my objection to biometrics from a security standpoint, and that is that they are immutable. But I have lost this debate, and it's over, so I must accept it and move on.
Wow, that's very mature.
Everybody is all in on biometrics. They are pretty good, but I don't think they're the panacea that they plan to be.
Mm-hmm.
But they're good. They are good. Which of the following practices is best to follow? So which of the following practices is best to follow? That's immediately, that now I'm looking for, there are a bunch of different things you can do with a hand scanner when you're administering it. So now they're asking what is the best one to follow.
There's a key detail buried in the first sentence that I think is going to be important for this question. And even if we're wrong and that detail's not important, that's fine. We are like actively engaging with the question.
Okay.
So
can I guess what it is?
Please. Yes.
Is
go.
it that you are actually configuring the hand scanner? Is that the detail?
So
you're adjusting the settings on the hand scanner.
So that's half of it.
Okay.
In that you're right, you have some sort of control because like you said, everybody thinks biometric is just the end all be all, but it's still prone to human configuration, right?
Correct.
So that's the first half. But what's the setting? Where are we configuring this?
For a data center.
And what do we, okay, sorry. Let me ask the obvious question. And why does that matter?
Well, that matters. And that's, I shouldn't just say data center, right? Well, your question is absolutely 100% important because if I'm just accessing or doing this for access to the building in general, and there are secondary security things in place, I may not have the same level of scrutiny on the biometric for the front door that I do for the data center. The data center is going to be much more important to me. It is a higher valued asset than somebody coming in the front door because that's where everything lives, right? One of my most important assets, my data, live there. That's why, they call the data center, it's really like a server farm, right? An old mini server farm. But I think calling it a data center is a good idea because your data is physically there.
Yep. And the other thing that you sort of mentioned, that you started to hint at, but to make it explicit, is you're probably going to have fewer individuals who should be attempting to access your data center than those who, in your example, are just coming to the building.
Right.
So why don't you read A?
So A is decrease the reader's sensitivity. Reject this one right away.
Right.
Because if you decrease the sensitivity, you increase the opportunity for a type 2 error, the false authentication error. You're effectively increasing what is called the FAR, which is the false access rate.
False acceptance
rate.
But yeah, but you're thinking about it the right way, right? Because somebody who should not be accepted was accepted. So that's a FAR. So what's the type 1? What's a FRR?
That is a false rejection.
Okay, so if you're falsely rejected, meaning what?
Meaning that you should have been granted access, but were not.
What's the difference? What are the consequences of a type 1 versus type 2 error?
So a type 1 error is you've rejected something you shouldn't have, which means somebody can't do their job.
Okay.
That's the worst case scenario.
Right.
Now, depending on the state of urgency, maybe that's really, really bad. So you have other things in place. But generally speaking, like if I'm just going into a server room to check on the status of a server, I touch the palm scanner, I get a rejection. I go, that's funny. I try again. I get a rejection. Maybe I wipe my hands off, clean it up, and then I get allowed in. Okay, no big deal. I've lost however long it takes me to do it twice.
Yep.
The false acceptance rate or authorization or whichever, has a much higher consequence in that a potential malicious actor, somebody who should not be in the area that you're protecting with this device, is in there. That's very, very bad.
Type 1 error rate is an inconvenience.
Yes.
Maybe a headache.
Yep.
Type 2, you got
could be disastrous.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So it sounds like, if I can say this back to you, what our goal in this situation should be is basically try to reduce the FAR or configure the sensitivity in such a way where we reduce the FAR.
Correct.
So, Joe, I'm looking at the question. What's the problem? That's not an answer choice. The perfect answer that we just did all this work predicting and figuring out is not one of the choices.
No, in fact, the very next choice is increase the FAR, which is the same thing as decreasing the reader sensitivity.
Right.
So I reject that one out of hand as well.
Good.
So now I'm down to 2.
Okay.
All right. So the next one is decrease the FRR, which is the false rejection rate. So now I'm going to not inconvenience my administrators as much. They're going to have easier access. But every time you decrease the FRR, you are potentially increasing the FAR.
Yep.
Generally speaking, decrease the FRR is essentially the same as increasing the FAR.
I love what you just said.
Right.
What do you notice about A, B, and C?
They are all the same.
They're all the same.
Right.
There are three ways of saying the same thing. And by the way, if one of them is wrong, so are the other two.
Right.
So that leaves us with D, which is the right answer, which is?
Increase the reader sensitivity.
AKA decrease the FAR.
Correct.
AKA decrease the type 2 errors.
Right. So that's the answer.
And that is how you do a question.
Okay.
That is how. And look, if you're following along at home, you're probably like, well, that took a long time. It took like 6 minutes. But obviously, we were talking out loud. We were thinking out loud. And the point that I want to emphasize is you got to slow down to speed up. Doing that pre-work before you get the answer choices is actually going to speed you up on test day.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to that. So it should be soon, very soon, Sam. Very soon.
So, Joe, good work. Keep up the good work, and we will see you next time for Domain 6.
All right.
That's Sam Meisenberg, joined by Joe Carrigan. And now, a word from our sponsor, Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Cyber attackers are using AI in creative ways to compromise users and breach organizations. In a security landscape where you must fight AI with AI, the best AI protection comes from having the best data. Zscaler has extended its zero-trust architecture with powerful AI engines that are trained and tuned by 500 trillion daily signals. Learn more about Zscaler Zero Trust Plus AI to prevent ransomware and AI attacks. Experience your world secured. Visit zscaler.com/zerotrustai. And finally, C. Gordon Bell, a true visionary in the world of computing, passed away on May 17th at the age of 89. Bell, often called the Frank Lloyd Wright of computers, made profound contributions to the technology landscape. Educated at MIT, Bell began his groundbreaking career at Digital Equipment Corporation in 1960, where he designed the PDP-8, the first commercially successful mini-computer. Introduced in 1965, the PDP-8 revolutionized computing by offering a smaller, more affordable alternative to the massive, costly computers of the time. Bell's innovations extended beyond hardware. He was pivotal in the early days of the ARPANET, the precursor to the modern Internet. His visionary approach continued throughout his career, from leading research and development at Digital Equipment Corporation to advising and joining Microsoft, where he further explored the frontiers of technology. One of Bell's most forward-thinking projects was My Life Bits, an experiment in capturing and documenting every aspect of his daily life digitally. This concept, which seemed fantastical at the time, anticipated the data-rich, interconnected world we live in today. Born in Kirksville, Missouri, Bell overcame significant childhood health challenges, channeling his early interest in electronics into a lifelong passion for innovation. His legacy includes not only the technological advancements he spearheaded, but also his enduring influence on the computing world. Bell's work has left an indelible mark on the industry, inspiring future generations to think creatively and push the boundaries of what technology can achieve. His visionary spirit and contributions will be remembered and celebrated for years to come. And that's the Cyberwire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K Cyberwire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president, Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Hi, everybody. It's Maria Varmazes here, your host over at T-Minus Space Daily, and sometimes a guest on Hacking Humans, too. We here at N2K Cyberwire work hard to bring you concise, intelligence-driven news and commentary, and we'd like to know how we're doing. Please take a few minutes to complete our audience survey and share your feedback to help us continue to grow and meet your needs. Visit cyberwire.com/survey. That's cyberwire.com/survey to get started. Thanks so much for your input as we reach for the stars. It means the universe to us.
And now a word from our sponsor, SpyCloud, the leader in operationalizing cybercrime analytics. Traditional threat intelligence is a thing of the past. Cyber criminals are stealing vast amounts of credentials, session cookies, and financial data every day, and it's hard to keep up. SpyCloud is the trusted partner businesses turn to fully understand their darknet exposure risk and neutralize threats before it's too late. SpyCloud alerts your organization as soon as an employee or customer's data appears on the dark net, so you can act faster than bad actors to prevent cyber attacks like ransomware, session hijacking, account takeover, and online fraud. With insights from the industry's largest repository of recaptured data, protect the digital identities and systems most important to your business. Get your free corporate darknet exposure report at spycloud.com/cyberwire and see what information criminals have in their hands today. That's spycloud.com/cyberwire.